Welcome back as we continue to get lots of reaction to this. Of course, yesterday it was announced that schools will begin reopening on June the 1st with the phasing in of grade 7s and 12s. The availability and delivery of personal protective gear and the provision of water and sanitation facilities have been at the centre of questions around school safety. So SABC News journalist Gillian Pillay is in Ennerdale, south of Johannesburg, catching up with a grade 11 learner and her mother. Gillian, what have you got for us this evening?
Very good evening to you, Criselda. Yes, as you said earlier, social media quite a buzz with the reaction to the minister's announcement that grade 12 and grade 7s will be returning to school June the 1st. And in the wake of that, we've seen a lot of parents really concerned about the safety of the children. But here in Ennerdale, we have learned that there has been no online learning for most of the learners from the Oakdean High School. Also that they haven't even, it's a very desperate situation in communities like this where poverty levels and unemployment is very high. Data that we take as a luxury, very easy for us to buy. It's quite difficult to acquire in communities like this when they've got to balance things of, do I put a loaf of bread on the table or do I buy data? But in this instance, we have learned that there's been no online learning here, so it begs the question, what kind of catch-up work would grade 11s and 12s and learners from high schools in this area, what kind of catch-up work would they need to do? And how prepared would they be for upcoming exams that we've heard papers have been set already from school authorities in that briefing last night? As I said, the situation quite desperate here. With lockdown, it's left many, many families unemployed, many parents not being able to return to work. They don't know the status of the employment that they had before lockdown. Many of them battling to feed children. In this particular family, we know that there's a total of 8 people living in this home that's been divided into 2 bedrooms. There's a kitchen and a lounge here. We know that the dad, who does work with furniture, he doesn't know if he has a job once lockdown regulations will be relaxed. The mom, who is Jennifer Daniel, she, sells little bits of things to get some sort of income to this particular household, but she has said there's been days when she hasn't, had enough food to feed her 4 school-going children. She doesn't know where the next meal is going to come from, so she really has lived from day to day and from hand to mouth. Just to talk to us firstly about the reaction from the minister last night. What are your concerns? And how do you feel about, that your grade 11 is likely to go back to school in the near future?
I'm very much concerned for my children that are in school. The first concern is the social distancing that is spoke about, that the minister was speaking about. And then the next thing is the fact that they must go to school, the sanitizers, the masks. Will there be enough sanitizers and masks for our children? It's very, very, very worrying. And the fact that there was a feeding scheme that fed my children, but now there's no feeding scheme.
Online learning, how worried are you that your kids haven't had not WhatsApp texts from teachers? There's been no material been made available of how to, keep them going. The last time they were in school was March 18th.
Very much. It's very much worrying for me. And even my husband also, the fact that he left, he had to leave his work now. And that is, it's my children can't even cope in the house also.
What's the dynamics like in this home? What's the situation like? Looking at, do I buy data? Do I buy a loaf of bread? What's the dynamics like here?
If I have money in my hand, I'll rather buy bread than to buy the data. The bread is more important for the other siblings also to have. And then it's also important to have data for my other 2 children that is in high school. So I'll rather buy the loaf of bread than to buy the data for my children.
What has lockdown done in the sense of, before lockdown you were struggling? What is the situation like now?
The situation is still very, very bad. But I'm just trying to cope for my family's sake day by day. I just want to go. For this day at least we survived. So tomorrow we'll see what we'll do tomorrow. My husband also had to borrow money from his family. but they are also exhausted now of borrowing us money.
Okay, we're also talking to Jennifer Daniels' grade 11 son who, hasn't had online learning. Shaylin, you've heard from other schools outside of Ennerdale, there's been pupils who have had online learning. How are you coping, and how does it feel that you're just wasting the days away without, doing anything?
Since the school is closed, I've never heard from any of my teachers. In other schools, there's WhatsApp groups, so where they get their work from, and we don't even have proper textbooks. At least if we had textbooks, and then I could sit day by day with my textbooks, but...
Also, data. Even if you could access online learning, what would be challenging for you, looking at the circumstances here at home? You are one of 3 other school-going children. Your parents are unemployed. You know how your parents are struggling to make ends meet.
Yeah, so my parents doesn't work, and my mother helps. She helps at school. So yeah, if she has a 20 rand, she'll rather buy bread with the 20 rand than to buy data.
It's just, how important is this year to you, and what are your thoughts about going back to school, looking at the possible dangers with COVID?
So this is a very important year for me. I'm pre-matric, and I'm looking forward to going to grade 12, because my dream is just to finish school and change the situation that I'm staying in.
Okay, Griselda, as you heard there, quite a desperate situation. This family really endemic of a lot of families around the country within communities like this. But I think very worrying for me is the fact that no online learning has taken place for learners from communities like this. And I think it begs the question now, how do these kids catch up? What is the way forward for them? And also, you heard the concerns. A lot of people on social media talking there about, social distancing. Will there be enough masks? The general concern from parents. But I think these kids from this community, they're particularly on the back foot, looking at that online learning hasn't taken place, and they can't afford things like data.
Absolutely. Thank you very much to SABC News journalist Gillian Pillay in Ennerdale in the south of Johannesburg. I guess, again, exposing the inequalities in South Africa's education system, those who can afford, those who cannot afford, and, the lockdown having an effect in different ways on different families, on different learners, depending on, of course, where you go to school. Just coming up after 8 o'clock, we'll also speak to another parent and a grade 12 learner this time. And they'll talk to us about what their concerns are, if at all they have any, about the announcement made, of course, by the Basic Education Minister yesterday.